Junior Kikuewa Jr. Show, starring Junior Kikuewa Jr.
Damn straight.
Join Junior along with the Wayne Borje Band as he makes any kind from Hawaii.
Never know what kind.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Junior Kikuewa Jr.
How you doing? How you doing? What's up, Owen? How you doing? Okay, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night. Welcome to the podcast. Yeah, depending on when you're listening to the podcast, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good evening, whatever. I'm Junior Kikuewa Jr. I almost forgot who I was. Anyway, well, that's a long story, but I have been many people, and I have lived many lives, right? Because I only got this one life to live, right? So I figured, well, might as well max it out, right? Okay. But here's the thing, right? On today's podcast, we're going to talk about the fact that we are eternal. Okay. I know. It's like, what? 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 Okay. Couple of uncles just spit out their beer right now. They think, what? Yes, you are eternal. Okay. So I'm talking about the energy in you, whatever you call that. Spirit, soul, energy, okay? It's going to get a little deep on the podcast today, but first, the attitude of gratitude. So, we've been talking about the local stats, right? And our local stats, we got to acknowledge local people in Hawaii. And the reason why is because without the local people in Hawaii, I would be absolutely zero. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, but anyway, if we take a look at countries, like we don't always do this, right? Because, whatever. But the last countries that we reported was Australia, South Africa, and Turkey, right? Now there's Vietnam and Norway. So Norway is a brand new country. So I wanted to say thank you very much for listening from Norway. And wherever you're listening from, okay? The states in the United States, okay, when we look at who's the newest states, okay? Well, we have a few new ones, okay? So we want to say aloha to Connecticut, the people in Minnesota, Missouri, Kansas, and Alabama. Okay, those people are brand new. The podcast is, spreading because we have so many affiliates. Affiliates are like, so back in the old days, just to get a, perspective, in the old days, you would have, what you would call, programs that were syndicated. And the syndicated programs, like a radio program, TV program, they would be syndicated, which would mean that they would be played on, all kinds of stations would carry the show, right? So now what happens is we have all these podcast sites all around the world that carry your podcast if you do the proper distribution. So Jay, my producer, does the distribution, and we want to thank him. And we also want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. And all you have to do is just in any browser, put the Junior Kikuewa Jr. Show, and you will see all of our affiliates. It goes on for a few pages. So, be prepared. Just go look. It's all over. So web browsers, 38.4%. Apple Podcasts down to 32%. iHeartRadio is just like, wow. A lot of people are listening to us over iHeartMedia. Also Spotify, and then there's a few others. But anyway, on today's podcast, let's get on to the podcast. So thank you for listening. Thank you very much. On to the podcast. So today's podcast, yeah. So you are eternal, okay? And here you are worried, okay? You know what I treat them, but so let me just preface the whole podcast by saying we do not make medical claims. we speak in medical terms sometimes, but we don't make medical claims, okay? And I have to say that because if I don't say that, I can get sued, okay? Because, I can get shut down, Because the AMA, the American Medical Association, okay, and we're not going to go into the politics of everything, but I'm just going to say that, if they can say that you're making medical claims, right, they could shut you down. That's just the way it is. But that's for a reason too, right? I mean, back in the day, people were selling snake oil saying, these are miracle cure. 'Cause you take this thing and, you can be well, right? Okay, well, here's the thing about the human being, right? On an energetic level, okay, the placebo effect works. Okay, now I'm not saying like, if you have cancer, like you can imagine yourself well. Although it will help you a lot. It'll definitely work with medicine. Okay, we know that. I'm not saying that you can, cure everything as in the real definition of cure, like not have it anymore kind of thing. But I could tell you that your mind is a lot stronger than you think. I will tell you that your thinking is a lot like, and you can manifest things, including illness. Okay. And that, we talked about that on another podcast, how you can actually, act out these scenarios in your head that are imaginary and become very sick. I have a family member that does this. Okay. And he's always he's old. He's older. He's like a lot older than me. But, he's always at the doctor's office, like always, okay, which would what you would classically define as a hypochondriac. Always seeing a doctor for everything, always imagining he has something new or something bad or whatever, always, And so this thing, and I wish I could help him, okay? But here's the thing, right? You cannot help family. You cannot, because you're family, right? You can't, yeah. Anyway, that's not a podcast, always. But I will tell you that we are eternal. Okay, now let's talk. Okay, let's have this discussion. All right, now I realize it's a one-way discussion because you're listening to a podcast. It's a little unfair. You cannot chime in, but here's your big fat but, Hawaiians. You can write to me on the website, junior@hereforyoulifecoaching.com, and we can have a discussion via email. You can ask me questions. I will answer it in depth, okay? Somebody got a 2-page email from me and they wrote back, wow, I don't need to see anybody. Like, I don't need to see my therapist now. I think I understand this. So, but please, we're not here to like replace your therapy or anything like that. Therapy to me, is necessary for certain degrees of things, right? If you're really in bad shape and you really need somebody to rehash things over and 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 over kind of thing, what you're really doing, on one front, okay, you may be solving some problems, but you got to know that that process does not solve problems. Okay, what it does is it cements it more in your subconscious. Okay, and I'm not speaking out against therapy. I'm just telling you what it does. When you repeat things, when you rehash things, when you remember things, okay, it just keeps going. Okay, it keeps going in your head. Okay, now if you're not strong enough to become the observer, okay, now this is going to get a little bit deep, small kind of ones, okay? But if you're not strong enough to become the observer, to remove yourself from the situation in real time, okay, think about that. In other words, right? So engagement, right? Engage. When you engage, think about it. Think about it in war when you engage, right? You engage the enemy. Okay, well, maybe you're engaging over a text message. Maybe you're engaging in person. Maybe you're engaging someone on an idea. Or maybe you're engaging someone in a disagreement. But when you engage, and I'm talking about the energetic level, your spirit, soul, energy, all of that, okay? On that level, when you engage, you join, okay? Now, you got to know human beings link up with energy. Human beings link up. That's why church works, okay? That's why AA meetings work. That's why meetings work. That's why therapy works to a certain degree. Okay, to a certain degree. Because why? Because you link up with someone that is, hopefully positive. Someone that hopefully serves as some kind of grounding for your issue or your problem or whatever you perceive it to be. Okay. Perception is huge in life, but your perception is not going to be the same as your neighbor. We are all individuals. Yes, there are general perceptions, okay? Yes, we have general guidelines to go by, okay? But when you can break free of those, social norms, or let's say it another way, when you can break free of what people are calling normal, okay? Because normal is not normal, Hawaiians, okay? It's abnormal. All right. But normal is a consensus. Normal is like, all right, so we got 10 guys here, 8 of them do you put on their shoes this way, right? Okay. We're gonna call that normal. These other 3 guys that putting on their shoes a little bit smaller and different, okay? Yeah. We're gonna call that abnormal. Okay. So what does that suggest, Hawaii? That suggests that these 3 guys who just happen to, put their shoes on, I don't know, maybe, the opposite way. Maybe left first, then right versus right first, then left, whatever. I'm giving you examples. Now they're abnormal. Now we need to have them conform to the other 8 guys or the other, whatever, the other guys, right? The other group. Okay, don't make Uncle think in real time in mathematics. Don't make me do that. And that also in my life, that was linked to trauma. That was one of my traumatic things was mathematics. Okay, and I'm not going to get into that. But I'm just saying that I went through trauma linked to mathematics at a certain young age that I said, you know what, I'm not going to do this, and I pushed it out of my world. Okay, so you know what I do now? I hire a CPA. I do. So, I mean, and my CPA handles all my companies. My CPA gets headaches from me, really. I give them, it's a group of people. I give them a lot of credit. They put up with a lot of stuff from me. So, if you're listening, yeah, love you guys. Love you guys. Anyway, but no, you see, no matter what you cannot do, okay, so here's another side note. We're going to the side. We're going to the left. Everything you own, to the box in the left, or on the left, or, left. Anyway, but here we go, right? Now, anything in life that you think you lack, you can hire someone to do. Yep. Let me say it again. Anything you think you can lack, or you think you lack in, okay? Let's say you're an entrepreneur, okay? Because that's what I do, right? Entrepreneurs hire experts. If that expert don't work, we change experts. Okay, the worst thing you can do as an entrepreneur, okay? And this works in regular everyday life. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. I'm just saying. But the worst thing that you can do is keep the wrong person around for too long. Okay? And you have to eventually acquire a feel. Because the first thing is potential. Like, okay, this person, you see a lot of potential in someone, right? And you give them a chance. And if it ain't working, right? If it is not working, you don't want to just keep firing people. You don't want to keep terminating subcontractor agreements, right? You want to kind of, okay, let's try this and let's try that. And then eventually you have a sense of, okay, I'm only going to keep these guys around for a little while longer. I'm willing to do a little while longer. That's it. I'm going to change these guys. I'm going to change them out. I'm going to fire them. I'm going to hire somebody else, right? It's not really about firing. At the subcontractor level, it's just, I'll get somebody else. You know how many people are out there willing to do quality work? A lot, okay? A lot. But I will tell you, on the other hand, okay, it's very difficult to find that one person that's going to make the whole difference. Okay, that one person that makes a difference, And the other thing, while we're on the under the business umbrella right here on the left, before we get back to the, you are eternal. Okay, I will tell you that I've run into so many people that I wish I could help. And my biggest advice. And the things I see, so I'm here in Hawaii, and the things I see in Hawaii, okay, and I don't know if it's our cultural thing, I don't know what it is, but people in Hawaii, okay, a lot, not, and I'm not talking about the new generation. I'm talking about my personal experience. In my experience, right, a lot of guys don't do business the business way. They don't do it on paper. Okay, I know this guy that he's a fantastic artist, right? Like fantastic. Okay, but when it comes to registering designs and doing the little extra work that's associated with, okay, I'll go register this, I'll go copyright this. All my music is copyrighted. I own all of my music. Okay, because I take the extra time that it takes to do it. Right? If you're an artist out there, it doesn't matter if you draw, doesn't matter if you paint, doesn't matter if you do music, doesn't matter whatever kind of artist you are. Okay? If you have intellectual property, okay, register it, copyright it, do whatever it is you patent it, whatever, but do that work. All right, now let's get back. So, because you can end up doing all this work for another company or all this work for somebody else. And then they have an agreement that says that they own all the things that you produce for them. It's called work for hire. Okay. And they have that written in contracts now. Okay. But if you own all your stuff beforehand, okay, if you register your work beforehand, or just go in and say, hey, you have to acknowledge my intellectual property, right? But you have to do it in writing. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, do that, because otherwise, somebody's going to make a lot of money off of you. You're going to make a little bit of money. That money's going to pay bills, and at the end, you're going to be left with nothing. Okay. The other way around, the result is your work is out there, and could be in multiple stores, could be in multiple digital venues. It could be, like on iTunes or whatever it is, all over the world, making money for you while you sleep. Because trust me, okay, there was a time in my life when I think I made my first 2 albums years and years ago, right? And I didn't think anything of it. I thought my songs were nice to me, like for me, right? And they represented something to me, but I didn't think they would sell. And nobody in Honolulu, Hawaii, where I am, nobody in Hawaii bought my music. Like nobody. Because we can see it. We can see the digital printouts. You know who was buying my music? People in Singapore. So the Singaporean people were buying my music. Okay, people in Japan buy my music. People in other countries buy my music while I'm sleeping. Okay, then there was TikTok. Then when TikTok, popped up, right? People were buying my music on TikTok. They still are. So at that point I was like, well, if you guys like that, like I'll make more albums. And then we kind of just went from there. But I'm just telling you guys, right? That's the side stuff, right? Now, back to you being eternal. You're underestimating yourself every day that you look in the mirror, okay? I don't care who you are. You're underestimating yourself. Now, there are people that overestimate themselves, right? Okay? And I was one of those people too, yeah. So when I was young, I was overestimating myself, right? Because I said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that, and that, right? Whatever, all those things, right? Because I'm not here to flex. I'm here to tell you that you can do it too. I'm here to say that, I did it, right? And I know you can, you just don't know you can. And when I look back, right, and it's all there, just search my name, everything that I say, I have done. Okay, because when I look back, right, I go, wow, yeah, I did say that when I was 11. I did say that when I was 12. I did say that when I was 13, whatever. When I was a kid, when I was 10 years old and I was doing voices, when I was 10 years old sitting in front of the TV watching cartoons on Saturday morning, right? And my mom was trying to kick me out of the house because she couldn't take it anymore, and I didn't blame her one bit, right? She was trying to clean house. My mom was one of those housewife kind of people. She was a professional, but she was also a housewife. I mean, she did housework on Saturday. That was her workout. So she was trying to work out, right? And she was trying to clean house, and here I was doing my show in front of the cartoons, right? I had my own show. In my head, I had my own show. And being an only child, right? I was doing my show for me. I was having fun entertaining myself. And then it became a challenge. Like whatever voice I heard come out of the TV, like I replicated it or tried to like to the, to the T as close as I could get it, right? And then I started doing, like my high school principal. And then I started doing like real people, celebrities and stuff. And then I saw these guys on TV. This one guy, I can mention him, Rich Little, right? He was if you Google him, if you pull up YouTube, he was one of the best ever, and I got to meet him. Funny how I got to meet I have a picture with him. I have a thing that I had in a frame. I have a picture of it now. I got rid of the original, but it said, Junior, keep those voices coming. They're great. And he misspelled the word there. He didn't. He spelled it. I think he spelled it T-E. I don't know. It was the wrong there. Okay, I'm in real time here in a podcast. So, but he spelled it wrong. I should have kept it, but I took a picture of it. And so I attracted all these people into my life. Now, there's certain people that I couldn't meet, right? Like Frank Sinatra was one. I keep mentioning that, right? Because I wish I could have met him, right? I didn't have the connections to meet him at the time when he was in Hawaii. I mean, but I met, other people, Tom Selleck, all these people. Do I have pictures with all these guys? No, not really, because I'm not that guy. I'm not the one, come, let's take a selfie. Let's take a selfie. I'm not a selfie person. Okay, I'm not. Sometimes, yeah, I do it for my social media, but I'm not the picture kind of, can we take a picture? I mean, that is so girly to me, right? But I'm just saying. Anyway, so back to the you are eternal, okay? Some people overestimate themselves in their mind, okay? Some people try to do things they're not equipped to do. And in the beginning, right, in my childhood, I tried to do things I wasn't equipped to do all the time, But then pretty soon, because I was at that point where I was ready to take on Donny Osmond. I was ready to take on, I was like, yeah, let's do this. Let's throw down. You see what I'm saying? But I was overestimating myself, right? And pretty soon it started balancing out. And this is the lesson. Okay. Get your notes ready, Hawaiians. Here it comes. Here's the notes, okay, to take. All right. Eventually, if you see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. Okay? And you are eternal. Okay, so no matter, this life, right? This life that you're living right now, okay, will never come again this way. You are unique. You have your own energy, your own spirit, your own soul, your own frequency. Now, you can change your frequency. You can raise your frequency, or you can be content being the mess that you are, okay? Because sometimes I'm content with the mess that I am, and then other times I go, okay, let's level up this. Let's obtain a little more knowledge. Let's do something for somebody, right? And I'll spend a little extra time and donate my time to someone. Because that's important. It's important to donate time to people. Okay. Anybody can throw money at a charity. Anybody. Okay. That's easy. You can write a check. You can whatever, however you do it, right? You can donate money to a charity and claim that you're being a good person. Okay. But if you roll up your sleeves and get down in the trenches and donate some of your time and patience and heart and give to another person for that person's gain, not yours. That person's gain without the expectation of return. Okay? I help people that can never pay me back, that can never return the favor, because I don't need them. Okay? And I don't say that arrogantly. I say it because I help, the people that I help, right? Are like executives. my clients are executives. My clients are big, powerful people. Okay, in their respective worlds. Okay, now what can they do for me? Well, nothing, because in one case I'm not in the medical field. In another case, I'm not a CEO in a particular avenue or venue or profession. In another, instance, I'm not in the legal profession. So I'm not in all these professions, but I serve them. And when I give extra time, when I put a little extra time into someone, right? 9 times out of 10, there's nothing that they can do for me. In other words, the political stuff, like, oh, wow, we're going to pull you inside. We're going to make you part of the organization. There's no way that can happen. It can't happen. Okay. But what I'm talking about is when you look at yourself in the morning, okay, when you see your energy, okay, the question is, can you feel your energy? Okay. Are you present in the moment long enough where you can feel your energy? Okay? When you look at yourself in the mirror, do you love what you see? Okay? Are you content with what you see? Can you feel what you see? Okay? Yeah, I know. It's kind of like, yeah, and it's like, whoa, Junior, that was a lot. Yeah, it is a lot. Okay? But this is what I do for a living every single day. Okay? What I do is I point out how you are eternal. Okay? Because this energy is connected to the superconscious. There is the conscious, the subconscious, and superconscious. I'll say it again. Okay? And yeah, like people were like, excuse me, but weren't you the comedian? I was like, yeah, I was a comedian. That was for me. That was for me. That was me having fun. The comedian, right? And everybody was like, wow, bro, you are a good comedian. I'm like, no, not really. That was just me having fun for me. And for me, it was being selfish because I was supposed to be a teacher. It's a long, drawn out story, Hawaii's. But if you want to go to the left really quick again, right? My parents wanted me to be an attorney. So, yeah, I know. Yeah, oh man. And it all started when an astrologer came into the picture, right? So so there's this, I gotta tell you guys this story. So there was this guy, right? And he really interfered with my life. I'm just kidding. But he was an astrologer back in the day in Hawaii. He was very, very good at what he did, right? And he just happened to tell my mother, who was just, she's not into the occult or anything. It was just a, passing thing for her, right? But at the time, everybody was going to this guy for readings and whatever, astrological, whatever, and nobody knew like what was wrong with me. Because I had ADHD, right? So my mom was willing to try everything to try to help me, right? And meanwhile, the only medication I had was the belt. Okay, so I'm just saying. But all kinds of stuff. Like, I couldn't have caffeine. They kept me away from soda, which was a good thing, right? In many respects. But there was a lot of, So what I want to say is that, no matter what came at me, right? Like, say it was like physically damaging, right? I fought back. I didn't take it. I did not take it. I was doing battle with adults when I was in 3rd grade. Seriously. Like I was doing battle with adults that, just kind of like, what's wrong with this guy? Nobody knew what was wrong. Well, then let's just attack this guy, And I'm like, I had to do battle. But this guy, right, who seriously interfered with my life, did my chart, right? And he told my mom, oh, this guy, this kid right here would be a great law enforcement officer or an attorney. And that was it, right? Because, of course, I probably would have been a good cop. I probably, maybe not, I don't know. Maybe I would have, use my sidearm a little too much. But but I don't know. With my temper, I don't know. Well, I used to have it. Yeah, I used to have that temper. I don't have it anymore. Thank God I got rid of it. But yeah. So when my mom heard that, right, everything was law school. You're going to law school. You're gonna, she had this. So, but it was her idea for me. It was her thing for me. And this is what I told you guys on the last podcast. With kids, whatever their interests are, feed the interests. Okay? That did not happen in my life. It happened for like a little bit. And the only reason it happened, it was because people thought I was cute. People thought I was this cute fourth grader that could memorize skits and perform these, I used to perform these pidgin English stories kind of thing. So it was a stand-up of sorts, but it wasn't stand-up comedy. I mean, I did sound effects, I did all, everything, but it wasn't, it wasn't like a stand-up comedian now. And now you got little kids doing stand-up, like little kids. You go on YouTube and you see these little kids doing miraculous things. How did that happen? You know how it happened? People finally got to the realization that, hey, my kid can do any kind, right? My kid can do whatever. And then they started allowing it. Then they started enabling it. Then they go, well, he's kind of mimicking a stand-up comic. Let's give him some material. So here, like this. Here's a joke. Hey, here, do this, do that. Watch this guy. And that's the biggest value of YouTube and the internet, where young children, little children, I've worked with kids for 35 years. I know them inside out and backwards, okay? And they know me, because you can't hide from a child, okay? You cannot. But I can tell you this, when you show a kid, like, oh, look at that, Sally's doing that, or hey, check that, Kavika's doing that, or, whatever. When Kavika is a Hawaiian name for those of you outside of Hawaii. But when that happens, right, the kids look at it and they get inspired, okay? But deep inside, you know what they're thinking? I can do that. Right? I can do that. Oh, that's how it's done. But they need to see it. They need that example. So you need to show them examples. And that's the value of YouTube. You go, look, so-and-so can do that. When I first started my, we're going to the left again, Hawaiians, okay? But when I, first started my school, and I started my school not for me, not to teach per se, not to teach per se, right? But because my best friend was blind and he needed something to do. And that's why I started my school. Okay, because I always taught on the weekends and stuff, and that was good enough for me. But then at a certain point, I go, you know what? Because I was ready to walk out on this certain company. And I did. I walked out. And I decided to commit to, building this school, which was my second company. And which turned out to be the foundation of everything I do right now. So it's like it's like home base kind of thing. But when I did that, right, I did it so my friend would have like something to do, because he was blind and he needed something to keep him busy. He needed something to keep him sharp with his skills, and what the school did was it kept him sharp. And it made him a better piano player. It made him a better pianist. He was a pianist. He wasn't really a piano player. He was a gifted genius. And he had to have something to do, right? So, all right, well, build a school. I have a cousin, right? And my cousin at one point said, oh, my sister-in-law, she needs a job. You want to build what was it? She said, you want to build billing. So my sister-in-law, she needs a job, She does billing. You want to build a billing company? And I'm like, no, not really, But I was, just that kind of person. Like if I saw a need for something in my life, I made a company out of it. I just, all right, let's make it a business. Let's hire somebody. Let's bring somebody in. Let's pay them. Let's get it on. That kind of thing, right? And I don't really do that anymore. I have enough. I have enough. If you were to look me up on the DCCA, you would see, whoa, like we had no idea he was into all of this stuff. But and that's not a flex. I'm just saying you can do this. You are a corporation. You want to go there? Okay, you're a corporation under a parent corporation. You belong to the parent corporation. Now, if you want to distance yourself from that corporation, then okay. But then there are certain entitlements to doing business with that corporation that you won't be able to do. Okay? Because you cannot work both sides of the street. Okay, so you either gotta pay to play with that corporation, or you can be a private entity all on your own, a sovereign entity all by yourself out in the middle of nowhere with whatever. You want to build rain catchments, whatever you want to do. But I chose not to do that. But like it says in the Holy Bible, I know thine enemy, and I know thine friends, and I can count them on one hand. All right, back to being eternal. Okay, so I hope I gave you guys a little bit of insight there. That's what that was for. Okay, so now, when it boils down to like what people are suffering from right now, okay, they're suffering from fear, okay, and all the negative emotions are rooted in fear. They're suffering from guilt, okay, things that have happened that they're holding themselves accountable for, okay. And my mom had a good, Jedi, what do you call that? Jedi mind trick for that. Like my mom used to tell me, you, right? And I used to, and this was when I was young, right? Like elementary school. And I used to stop and think, and I go, yeah, I know me, and I'm a brat. Because it would call to mind all the negative things about me, right? And my mom didn't even know she was doing it, right? It was just her. It was just her expression. I never heard anybody else say that. I think it was original. But it made me think of all the, crappy things about me, right? So I became aware at a very early age of my flaws, and it took a lot of work to get past that. It took a lot of work to get, and I'm talking about from elementary school, right? And you fast forward to like 28 when it started evening out, 28 when it started, balancing out, right? So it was a rough ride, Owens, okay? But that's what we call life, okay? But the energy that's in you, okay, can be changed. You can change that energy. You can modify that energy. But the thing about that energy at the base level, it's 100% pure. It's 100%, okay? But life happens. And then what happens? Well, your subconscious starts to accept all these stories. Your subconscious starts to accept all these versions that are not exactly the same as that energy within you, okay? And when that starts to happen, right, we call them complexes. That's one term, right? But that starts to happen. You start to form a complex. So what happens? The walls start to get built. And what do you got to do? You got to break down those walls, okay? And the fastest way is the human voice, the very fastest, okay? So when you get into frequencies of people, in other words, so if you're talking about frequency, right, you can raise a person's frequency. So just real quick, I'm going to run down this list for you guys, okay? So at the very base, at the very bottom, the very most negative emotion is fear, okay? The highest, what is the opposite of fear? Every time I ask somebody that question, they go, bravery? No, wrong, wrong. Okay, that's not the opposite of fear. The opposite of fear is love, okay? That's the polar opposite, all right? So if you're, if you're shifting between the two constantly, that's what you call a love-hate relationship, right? Okay? And you can have those with yourself, okay? So be careful. But I'm just saying that at the very top, it's love, the highest frequency, okay? The very lowest frequency is fear, okay? So here it is in order. from worst to best. All right, are you ready? Write this down. Fear, shame, guilt, grief, despair, envy, boredom, hate, anger. Wait. Put on the brakes. Did you say boredom, Uncle? Yeah, boredom, okay? Boredom is right down there with envy and right down there with hate, okay? Boredom is below hate. How's that one? Okay, all right, let's continue. Boredom, hate, anger, criticism, disappointment, irritation, worry. Okay, so now worry is at the very top, or let's say the best worst frequency. Okay, so worry is right up there. Okay, at the very top of the worst emotions you could experience. Okay, now worrying, I'm gonna say it again. I've said it a million times. Worry is like praying for something bad to happen. And you will bring things upon yourself when you worry. Okay? Do I worry? Yeah, every once in a while I catch myself, you know? And what do? I let it go. I'm like, whatever. Okay? Because, I don't know. There's no specific quantification to this. Okay? However, I will tell you that the vast percentage of the time, the majority of the time, the things that you're worrying about will never happen. And you know what you're doing? You're torturing yourself. You're putting yourself through crap on purpose for nothing. Okay? Because it's a habit. It's a habit of your subconscious. Can you get rid of it? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Can you get rid of it totally? No. It comes back. Okay? It rears its ugly head. And when it does, you have to have the switch to go, no, not now. And push it down and move forward. Get on with your life. Okay? But here's the thing, right? To do that, you need the switch. And to do that, you need to work it through your voice. You need to find your voice, literally find your voice in life. Okay? And this is what I've been helping people do. And the reason why I went down the rabbit hole in 2008 to go figure all this out was I couldn't explain what I was doing. It was in my teaching studio. And God was like, look, see that? Look, you see this 9-year-old? She's unstoppable right now. Now, how did that happen? When she came in, she was scared. When she came in, she was shy. When she came in, her body language was not like that. Now she looks like she likes crap. Look, what happened, right? That was the whole thing. Like I couldn't understand what was going on, right? And then in 2008, started learning, went down the rabbit hole. By 2010, figured it out. Started Here For You Life Coaching, and that's why you're listening to this podcast, because this podcast belongs to that company. So anyway, right now, let's get along to the higher side. Okay, so at the very bottom, okay, so those are 13 low frequencies, and it goes from worry all the way down to fear. Okay, we're working our way up. Now, at the bottom of the best frequencies is satisfaction. Okay, are you satisfied? Okay, it's a good frequency, but it's the lowest good frequency. Okay, now these are the top 9. Okay, here we go. Satisfaction, hope. Hope. Are you hopeful? Hope, right? Okay. I'm just kind of, I'm kind of having fun with this, because if you're just sitting around hoping, you see what I'm saying? It's good. It's not, hope is good, right? But you got to take action. Hope is nothing without action. Hope is like just staying there and, well, maybe things will get better, whatever. All right. So satisfaction, the top 9. Satisfaction from the bottom up. Hope, enthusiasm, excitement, passion, joy. Okay. Now we're hitting the top frequencies. The top 4 frequencies to be in. Okay. Joy. Number 3, gratitude. Number 2, peace. And number 1, love. Okay. Now, love and peace, ironically, are at the same frequency. Okay. Because if you are at peace, you are in love. And I don't mean in love like you in love with your spouse. I'm not talking about Valentine's love. I'm not talking about that. Okay, that's commercial. That's desire. So desire is desire is actually a low frequency, but the reason why it's not on the spectrum is because we go in and out of it. We go in and out of desire. Like you see a car, right? You go, whoa, damn, I want that one, right? That's desire. Is it a high frequency or a low frequency? It's a low frequency. It pulls you down for a second because you're not supposed to desire. Okay, that's another podcast, Hawaiians. That goes deep. Okay, you're not supposed to desire because everything that is yours is there. You just can't see it. Everything that is yours, everything that you're attracted to, is attracted to you. Okay, everything that is supposed to be is going to be. Okay. And you have this life to do it. You can increase your frequency as a human being, okay? And I do it through people's voices, okay? And I tune them up like an instrument, okay? And pretty soon, their lives change, right? And they're going, whoa, like, how did this happen? And there's always another explanation for it, because most of my clients, the majority, are introverts, and they will not. An introvert will not, come out and say, oh yeah, ever since I took your course, I'm like, man, all these good things are happening for me now. They won't do that. They keep those things to themselves, and it's good. It's all good. I see it. I see the difference. And then all of a sudden, oh, I got a promotion. Oh, I got a raise. And inside, I'm saying, oh, of course you did. Of course you did. You see what I'm saying, Hawaiians, right? Because I know, they might not know, okay, but they feel it, okay? They feel things. And then they start experiencing all this stuff. It's like the floodgates open and now all the goodness is coming, right? And they think, I don't know what they think, but they think something else. But I know what it is because I've gone through the science, because I've studied all this stuff. And it took me two whole years of, I want to say I went through at least 300 lectures, at least. I even went to see Dr. Amit Goswami in person. He's at the time, he was the leading quantum physicist in the world. And I sat there through a discussion that I probably understood 80% of. 20% was like, I couldn't wrap my brain around. But that was, quantum physics, right? And I got to tell you that if you do this stuff without a professor, it's a very tedious process, and you need to really, I want to say get in the proper frame of mind, because it's going to change your mind. If you want to change your life, you got to change your mind. Did I start out this way in life? Hell no. Hell no. Am I glad I'm here? Yep. Yeah, I'm very happy I'm here. I'm very happy, and I'm very... I don't know. I don't have drama. Like, I don't have drama in my life. I have arguments with people. I have disagreements with people. I have people that I say, all right, that's it, done. Of course, and I have this ability, right? Ever since I acquired this switch, I have the ability to just turn something or someone off. Okay? And what I mean by, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, when you're having drama with somebody, right? Like, if you love that person, or if you like that person a lot, like one of your besties or whatever, okay? Forgiveness is divine. You're going to forgive, okay? But, when you're dealing with people that just don't get it, when you're dealing with people that for some reason, they're just not your cup of tea, you got to turn that off. You have to disconnect, because that will weigh you down. And that's why I retired from broadcasting. That's why I retired from several things. I stopped doing them. I'm like, nah, never mind. And these things, when you raise your vibration, okay, or let's say your frequency, right? Because vibration is like each individual action has its own vibration. So you're not necessarily bound to a different frequency because you engage in a vibration. I know it gets deep, but anyway, frequency. When you're on a different frequency, you don't even see the same people anymore, and you live on the same island, you live in the same state, you live in the same city, you live in the same town, the same neighborhood, but you don't see them anymore. Why? Because they're in a different reality. They're in a different frequency. Once in a while you might bump into them, but it's never going to be the same again. It's never going to be like that again because you have moved on. You have, increased your frequency, bettered yourself, whatever you want to say, done your personal development, all of that stuff. Okay? And you have to understand that the energy within you will live again. Because Einstein discovered that. He told us you can't extinguish energy. So we use these bodies that we walk around in, and they get old, right? Hopefully we take care of them, right? And then they get old, and then we have to leave them behind. And then where do we go? Well, you got to stop thinking heaven or hell. Don't stop thinking that, okay? But you leave, and you come back again. Now, how you come back is a different thing, and scientists have not figured that part out yet. I don't know if they ever will. I don't know if it's even privy to us as humans to know what happens. But I can tell you this heaven and hell thing was created by religion. Okay, this heaven and hell thing goes back to Rome. All right? So you need to really understand that you're eternal and that you have nothing to fear. Because when you figure out that you have nothing to fear, you have nothing to lose. And when you have nothing to lose, you have everything to gain. Okay? There you go, Hawaiians. Write them down. All right? You guys writing them down? Okay? But anyway, but that's what I'm here to tell you. Now, if this is brand new to you, okay, you younger guys, if this is brand new to you and you need some help, write to me, junior@hereforyoulifecoaching.com. Okay. You can find me like in all kinds of places. I'm on Instagram. Look for Here For You Life Coaching. Okay. I'm on TikTok internationally. I've got, 150 some odd thousand people on my account. The account is not about me. The account is about helping people. Okay, so a lot of thought leaders are on there. A lot of professionals are on there. But here's the another note to write down. Okay, they're all saying the same thing. Nothing new has been invented. It's all the subconscious, the conscious, and the superconscious. What has changed is the way that an individual communicates it to another individual, and how they resonate with it or not. Okay? So some people like Tony Robbins, right? Oh man, Tony Robbins, he's the man. They go see Tony Robbins, right? Some people are, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's the guy, he's the one, and they go see him. Okay, but here's the thing, right? Tony Robbins is into motivation, right? Joe Dispenza is into meditation. Okay, and I can go on and go on and go on, but they each have their own specialty, but the result is always 24/7, 365, your subconscious mind. Okay, and that's what I deal with. Okay, so my thing is the subconscious reprogramming. Now it sounds spooky, it sounds cult-ish. Okay, it's not. It's you. Okay, now however you want to condition that subconscious is up to you. Okay, you want to do it through religion? Go read your Bible. Go be a good person that way. You want to do it through Tony Robbins and be motivated? Then go do that. Do it through business. You have a choice. This is your life. Do what you want. Okay, you can be productive in any avenue. You could be productive in business, successful in art, successful in music, whatever. Okay. But Leon Trotsky, the Russian philosopher, once said, Success is living your life in your own way. Okay? Think about it. Think about that quote. It's a very good quote. Okay? So, what I'm really here to tell you, the good news, right, is when you think you're lacking something, when you think, like you're not good enough, or those silly little things that you think, okay? When you think that, right? I want you to look in the mirror again. The bathroom is a great place, right? Go in the bathroom, turn on the light by the mirror, and take a good look at yourself. Okay? And just realize that within that human body is energy that is eternal. Okay? You are just having this experience this way, this time. And you only live this way one time, Hawaiians. Okay? One time. So when I look back on my life, and when you look back on my life, when you look at online and you pull me up and you go, hey, this guy did all kinds of, it looks like somebody threw up on the internet. Like he did so much stuff. It looks like somebody just went crazy on the internet. Well, you know what? I'm here to experience my life. And I wanted to try this and that other thing. And I wanted to create this company and that company and do this and do that and be a consultant and do, all these things, right? And when I get a crazy idea, you know what I do? I trust it and I go with it. And guess what happens? I succeed at it. And I'm not talking about like I make $1 billion at it or $1 billion. I could care less about that. I'm here to experience it while I'm alive. I'm here to experience the process. Was that my timer? But I think Jay's over there like giving me the signal. He's like, bro, come on, you're running out of time. Okay, but that's what I'm talking about, Hawaiians. Okay, so when you think you can't do something or you can't do it yet or it's not the right time, I don't have money yet. No. Think again, Hawaiians. Because if you're thinking that way, you're thinking wrong. If you think money's the only way you can get something, you're badly mistaken. The energy within you, okay? Jesus Christ said it this way. The kingdom is within. Look inside. Go stand in the bathroom mirror. Take a good look at yourself. And then, I gotta go, Hawaiians. Yes, you are eternal, Hawaiians. You are eternal. I know it's a lot to take in, but just listen to the podcast one more time and you probably gonna get them. No worries. All right. I'm not dismissing you. I'm just saying it's kind of a lot to think about. Okay. Hey, we want to thank Brother Randy and Sister Jerry, the Island Club and Spa, our sponsors. Also, the Voice Master family of service companies and Darren Chinen's music at AFMHawaiiMusic.com. Go to the website, check them out. You can hire Darren for your party. You can do all kinds of stuff. Anyway, until next time, I'm Junior saying mahalo and aloha.